Hello, I'm Zoe Ringwood, the Landscape Conservation Area Manager for South West Essex, and today I'm here on a seawall. We've got about 350 miles of coast in Essex, and the majority of that is seawall. So that's a real long corridor of habitat for wildlife. And today we're just going to have a look at some of the wildlife we find along a typical seawall. Seawalls, they're obviously sea defence, and they're managed by the Environment Agency, who generally cut at the end of the summer just to control scrub and make sure that the seawall is intact. So basically it's a long line of rough grassland, but there's other habitats associated with it as well. So just to start off with, if we look at the cross section of a seawall, so first of all you've got the seaward face of the seawall, which is where you have transition from salt marsh to rough grass. You have the seawall crest. Then you have the landward face of the seawall, which is rough grass but is very sheltered because it's on the slope. Then you've got the seawall folding, which is the flat bit behind the seawall, which is again rough grass, again sheltered by the seawall. And finally you've got the borough dyke, which is basically brackish water. Okay, now we're going to just go for a walk along and see some of the flora and fauna that we find on our walk. Okay, so here we are, we're just at the base of the sea wall here, so we're on the edge of the salt marsh. Here we've got salt marsh plants on the upper salt marsh, so we've got some sea lavender, some sea purslane, and then you can see that this salt marsh habitat, we've got this transition zone here into grassland, and so you start to get these upper salt marsh grasses like sea couch, and you can see that goes up the sea wall, and then just up here we've got full soak grass as well. Now salt marsh is fantastic for invertebrates, and it's quite good. The salt marsh plants tend to flower later on in the year, so they provide that really important nectar source late in the year. And today we've got butterflies such as gatekeeper, small white, small skipper that we've just seen just here flying around amongst the salt marsh. Here we are, we're just on the edge of the borough dyke, and you can see it's a stretch of water, and it's really important because it's sheltered. It's important for wildfowl and waders, and along this stretch we have water voles. We'll be really lucky to see one today. And we've got, as you can see, we've got areas of reed bed. So within this habitat we'll have things like reed warblers and sedge warblers nesting. Here on ragwort we've got the caterpillars of the cinnabar moth, and you can see that they're very distinctive. They're black and yellow striped. This is common knapweed, a fantastic plant for insects. It's bird's foot trefoil. Here we've got a 6-spot burnet moth resting on couch grass. Here we've got a gatekeeper butterfly resting on a bit of perennial ryegrass. So we're just on the seawall folding, and it's just typical rough grass that you find along the seawall corridor, and I'm just going to walk along and just show you all how it's full of grasshoppers, so hopefully you'll be able to see. Some stretches of the seawall are grazed by sheep rather than mown, and this provides a much more diverse sward structure with benefits for plants and insects. This is shrubby sea blight. It's a plant of the upper salt marsh and it's locally abundant along the Essex coast. It's actually a nationally scarce plant, so it's a really good plant to look out for when you're out on your walk. As the name would suggest, it's shrubby, and as you can see, it's got very distinctive leaves. This is golden samphire, another upper salt marsh plant that you find locally along the sea wall face. I hope you enjoyed our walk along the sea wall, and I would really recommend it. If you can, get out and have an explore of a bit of seawall near you. You'll be rewarded.